another day at the office. Welcome back. It was all goblins and ghouls for me when I took the path less travelled on haunted Halloween stroll around the capital. Let's take a look. I've lived in Dublin all my life, and of course I'm very familiar with the wet and sometimes miserable weather like today, but I never thought of my hometown as spooky, but apparently it is. And Andy Gallagher joins me this morning to explain more. Dublin is spooky and haunted, is that true?
That's right. As you know, Dublin is full of a kind of rich and sometimes turbulent history, and the fact is that if you delve into some of the nooks and crannies, you find that there is a lot of stories about paranormal activities, ghosts and hauntings.
This haunted history walk is proving very popular in Dublin, Andy. What kind of experiences do people have while on the walk?
People have reported experiencing kind of a strange corpse smell in some of the locations. People have experienced dizzy spells, lightheadedness.
That's really now got me worried, but you're going to mind me today, Andy, and
Yes.
We're going to go to our first location now. So where is that?
We're going to head over to the 40 Steps. This used to be the main thoroughfare for pedestrians between the St. Patrick's Cathedral just down here and Christchurch Cathedral up at the other end here. And this would have been where Jonathan Swift, the famous author who gave us Gulliver's Travels, who was at the time Dean of St. Patrick's Cathedral, this would have been where he would have come to liaise with the Archbishop of Dublin up at Christchurch. At the time, word got out that Jonathan Swift was a very generous man, and this is where a lot of poor, unfortunate souls could be found begging. To this day, people have reported it's a very kind of strange occurrence. They hear the sound of a coin dropping, they turn around, they don't see anybody, but they just see a single coin, not a euro coin, but a very strange old-looking penny, something that looks like it is from another time. And this is said to be the generous hand of Jonathan Swift, giving even from beyond the grave.
So his ghost may still be here.
That's what people say.
Then it was time to leave our haunted 40 Steps behind and head to our next destination. Well, Andy, as the rain is getting heavier, your stories are getting more grisly.
That is right. So, Laura, you might notice that I've brought you to a slightly less photogenic part of Christchurch. This is the door to the crypt, and there's a very interesting story attached to this. You see, back in the 1700s, when pubs used to close a lot earlier, the crypt keeper here at Christchurch spotted a little gap in the market. He set up his own little speakeasy, his kind of after-hours nightclub right here in the crypt. People like, say, the army lieutenants around at Dublin Castle would come down here and drink to their heart's content well into the wee hours of the morning. However, he could only do this on a seasonal basis. So around mid-October every year, he would shut up and no one would go down to the crypt until spring the following year because it would be far too cold.
Sure.
When one year, in spring, when the crypt keeper went to open up his nightclub once again, he went down and he was absolutely horrified at the sight that greeted him. It was a decomposed army lieutenant surrounded by rats that were feasting on his corpse. He had passed out in a drunken stupor behind one of the couches down there and had not been noticed by the crypt keeper on his final search before he left, and had been basically imprisoned down there. And it's said that if you were walking past here on the stroke of midnight, you can still hear the knocking of that young lieutenant, reliving the horror that was inflicted upon him down there.
And if that wasn't grisly enough, Andy had one more story he wanted to share with us before our walk was over. Well, Andy, it's typical, isn't it? Just as we reach our final destination of our own little mini haunted walk this morning, the skies are clearing, but you have saved the best to last.
That's right. This is St. Alden's Church, and this is said to be one of the most haunted areas in Dublin. This would have been the meeting place of two star-crossed lovers back in the early part of the 20th century, which has given rise to the story of the Green Lady. Now, when we first started doing the tours here, we were warned of the Green Lady by the groundskeeper here at St. Alden's. The Green Lady was a lady named Greta Fitzgerald. She was said to have the most beautiful green eyes you have ever seen. And she was a member of a very wealthy family here on the south side of Dublin. She fell in love with Darcy McCarthy, who was a young man from the north side of the river from a poor family. And they conducted a secret romance because they knew their respective families would disapprove deeply of the match. They believed that people should stick to their own class, that kind of of thing. And one night they made a plan to elope. Their plan was to meet here on the stroke of midnight and steal down to the docks where they would board a ship to England and start new lives together. However, the plan did not come together all that successfully. Unfortunately, Greta's two big burly brothers caught wind of the plan. They ambushed Darcy on his way to meet Greta. They beat him up really badly and he never made it. He didn't make their secret rendezvous. Greta thought she had been jilted by her lover on the very night that they were supposed to elope. She was absolutely heartbroken. And Greta, to this day, is said to appear to young men here at St. Albans to whisper in their ear, come and meet her here on the stroke of midnight, hoping that it might be her beloved Darcy coming to see her again.
Ireland's version of Romeo and Juliet.
That's right, star-crossed lovers Dublin style.
Well, we haven't seen any green-eyed ladies today, but that's not to say there's none around the corner. We have a look.
Sure, let's go.